Well, we have some extremely positive news for you today. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just rejected a major UN push for the control of global health, and it has seriously positive implications for America. Just to give you a rough idea, this was at the fourth high level meeting of the UN General Assembly on the prevention and control of non communicable diseases and the promotion of mental health and well being. And the declaration that RFK Jr. rejected would have mandated digital surveillance of all citizens, dictated tax policy to sovereign nations, given corporations direct policy control, created interoperable tracking systems, and used climate change to justify health tyranny. We want to play you that full announcement here. Take a listen.
We launched the Make America Healthy Again agenda to confront the root causes of chronic disease, especially for children. We put nutrition, physical fitness, and responsible medicine back at the center of health. That's why we're calling out the truth. Ultra-processed food is driving chronic disease. America has the highest chronic disease burden on earth. This is both a public health crisis and an economic crisis. We now spend 90% of healthcare costs, about $4 trillion a year, on chronic disease. It's also a national security crisis. 7 out of every 10 American children cannot qualify for military service. America suffers more than anybody else, but this is a global calamity. More than 40 million people die around the world each year from chronic disease, and 7 out of the 10 most common causes of death are chronic disease. President Trump wants to lead the effort globally against ultra-processed foods and the medical and physical illness associated with it. We're calling on the international community to come together to combat this scourge. We cannot defeat the epidemic alone, but the UN's approach is misdirected. It attempts both too little and too much. It exceeds the UN's proper role while ignoring the most pressing health issues. And that's why the United States will reject it. More specifically, we cannot accept language that pushes destructive gender ideology. Neither can we accept claims of a constitutional or international right to abortion. The WHO cannot claim credibility or leadership until it undergoes radical reform. The United States objects to the political declaration of non-communicable diseases. Member states decided earlier this year that this meeting should approve a declaration in advance by consensus to ensure this gathering would not be marred by controversy. But the declaration is filled with controversy, with provisions about everything from taxes to oppressive management by international bodies of communicable diseases. The draft declaration before us today should not have been included in today's agenda. The United States will walk away from the declaration, but we will never walk away from the world or our commitment to end chronic disease. We stand ready to lead, to partner, to innovate with every nation committed to a healthier future.
And we wanted to play that whole thing because, as you can see, it's really not that hard for a country's health representatives or top of the food chain when it comes to health leadership to go into the WHO or the UN and say, look, this is not adequate. It's not adequate because it doesn't address these issues. Plus, you're overextending your authority. You are encroaching on our sovereignty, and we will be having none of it. It's really not that difficult, and yet so many nations across the world have gone ahead and agreed to the WHO's pandemic treaty, the IHR amendments. They want to agree to whatever overreach the UN wants to have. And every single nation can take a leaf out of RFK Jr.'s book right there and say, no, we're going to manage this ourselves. And whilst I do have my criticisms of the injection of Palantir into all of these systems, and you all have heard us talk about those things, ultimately, the first step is removing every country being involved in these international bodies that are not elected, wanting to have centralized control over their countries and have it managed inside their own countries respectively. And of course, there needs to be pushback against some of these biotech companies and surveillance companies in the US. That still stands. But this move, rejecting what the UN is doing, is absolutely phenomenal. We applaud RFK Jr. for this, and we hope that other countries will follow suit.